Every single one of us walks around thinking we've got our act together when it comes to emergencies. We tell ourselves we're ready. We feel confident about it. Then a real situation hits. A storm rolls in, the power drops, or shelves at the grocery store go bare. And suddenly we're standing in our own kitchen, realizing we can't locate a single flashlight that actually turns on. I've lived that moment. It's humbling. And I'd bet real money most of you have too. The thing is, nobody's judging you for it. Everybody knows they should have emergency supplies squared away. It's common sense. But common sense and common practice are two completely different animals. Life gets hectic. You've got work, kids, bills, 1,000 things pulling at your attention, and organized emergency supplies keep sliding to the bottom of the to-do list until the moment you desperately need them. That's just human nature. So let's fix it today, right now, in this conversation. And I want to be crystal clear about something from the jump. This is not a doomsday prepper fantasy. I'm not telling you to dig a bunker in your backyard or stockpile ammunition for the apocalypse. That's a different conversation for different people. What I'm talking about is the mundane, boring, completely realistic stuff that happens to ordinary families every single year. Power outages that stretch for days, winter storms that make roads impassable, supply chain hiccups that leave store shelves looking bare, hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms, flooding. These aren't hypothetical scenarios. They happen constantly, all over the country, every year. And the people who handle them well are the people who spent a little time and a little money getting ready ahead of time. So let's walk through everything you need, piece by piece, no fluff, no filler. Just practical information you can act on immediately. Water, the one thing you cannot mess around with. I'm starting with water because nothing else matters if you don't have it. Your body can push through weeks without a single calorie of food if it absolutely has to. That would be miserable and awful, but it's physically possible. Without water, though, you're looking at maybe 3 days before things get medically serious. That's not an exaggeration. That's biology. Now, most folks think they've handled this. They grabbed a 24-pack of bottled water from the store 6 months ago, shoved it in the garage, and mentally checked the box. Done. Prepared. Except that case of water would barely last a single person 2 days, and that's if you're only sipping it for hydration and not using a drop for anything else. No cooking, no cleaning wounds, no brushing teeth. Nothing. The standard recommendation exists for good reason. 1 gallon per person per day. That covers basic drinking and minimal hygiene needs. Do the math for your household. If you've got 4 people in your home and you want to be covered for just a 3-day disruption, that's 12 gallons at the bare minimum. And honestly, 3 days is optimistic for a lot of real-world emergencies. Some power outages last a week. Some storms make roads unusable for longer than that. If it's summer and temperatures are brutal, or if anyone in your household is doing physical labor, sick, nursing, or on medications that cause dehydration, that 1 gallon per person figure goes up fast. You could easily double it in extreme heat. So here's how to think about this practically. Those individual bottles are fine as grab-and-go items. But for serious home storage, you want larger containers, 5-gallon jugs, 7-gallon rigid containers from camping supply stores, even clean food-grade containers you save and refill yourself. These are more space-efficient and easier to manage than towers of individual bottles. But here's the real game changer that separates someone who's kinda prepared from someone who's actually ready. You need a method to purify additional water if your stored supply runs out. Water purification tablets are absurdly cheap, tiny enough to fit in your pocket, and they can make sketchy water drinkable. If your municipal water supply gets contaminated, or you need to pull water from a stream, a pool, a rain barrel, or any other questionable source, these tablets handle the job. They stay effective for years sitting in a drawer. And here's a piece of knowledge that could genuinely save your life someday. Plain, unscented household bleach can purify water in a pinch. You need about 8 drops per gallon of clear water, or 16 drops if the water is cloudy. Let it sit for half an hour after mixing. If it smells faintly of chlorine afterward, it's ready to drink. This only works with basic unscented bleach. No additives, no fragrances, no color-safe formulas. Just the plain stuff. Beyond chemical purification, consider investing in a gravity-fed water filter or a pump-style camping filter. Brands like Sawyer and LifeStraw make affordable options that can filter thousands of gallons. These are mechanical filters that physically remove bacteria and parasites from water. They're reusable, they don't expire the way tablets can, and they give you an additional layer of security on top of chemical treatment. Another water strategy people overlook entirely: know where the water already is inside your home. Your hot water heater holds anywhere from 30 to 80 gallons of drinkable water. If you know an emergency is coming, you can fill your bathtub, which holds roughly 40 gallons. You can fill pots, pitchers, buckets, anything that holds liquid. That water sitting in your pipes and water heater is clean and ready to use, but only if you get to it before contamination reaches your home supply. One more thing on water. Don't forget that you'll need water for sanitation purposes too, especially if your plumbing stops working. Flushing a toilet requires water. Cleaning dishes requires water. Washing hands requires water. Factor that into your planning, because running short on sanitation water creates health problems very quickly. Here's a detail that trips people up. Stored water can grow algae or develop a stale taste over time if it's exposed to light or not properly sealed. Keep water containers in a dark, cool location and rotate your supply every 6 to 12 months. When you rotate, use the old water for plants or cleaning and refill with fresh. Label your containers with the date you filled them so you always know what's oldest. Water containers themselves matter more than you'd think. Not every plastic container is safe for long-term water storage. You want food-grade HDPE plastic, which is marked with a recycling symbol number 2 on the bottom. Avoid containers that previously held anything other than food or beverages, because chemicals from other products can leach into the plastic permanently and contaminate your water. Old milk jugs seem convenient, but they're made from thinner plastic that degrades quickly, and the milk proteins are nearly impossible to fully clean out, creating a breeding ground for bacteria. Stick with purpose-built water storage containers or repurposed juice and soda bottles that have been thoroughly cleaned and sanitized. If you're in an area prone to earthquakes, consider how your water storage would survive shaking. Heavy, rigid containers on high shelves become dangerous projectiles during seismic events. Store heavy water containers low to the ground, ideally secured so they can't tip or slide. Flexible water bladders designed for emergency storage conform to spaces and are less likely to crack during an earthquake compared to rigid jugs. For apartment dwellers or anyone with limited space, water storage is admittedly challenging. Look into stackable water containers designed for small spaces, collapsible water bladders that flatten when empty, or commercially available water pouches with extended shelf lives that fit in closets or under beds. A water bob, which is a large food-grade bladder that fits inside your bathtub and fills from the faucet, can store up to 100 gallons if you have warning before a disruption. They're inexpensive and store flat when not in use. If this is helping you out, do me a quick favor and hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. It takes 2 seconds and it really helps. Alright, let's keep moving. Food. Stop overcomplicating this. Here's where people either overthink it or underthink it, and both approaches leave them in trouble. On one end, you've got folks spending hundreds of dollars on freeze-dried survival meal pouches that taste like cardboard wrapped in disappointment. On the other end, you've got people who figure they'll just figure it out when the time comes. Neither of those is a plan. The absolute best emergency food is boring, ordinary grocery store food that you already know how to prepare and your family already eats. Full stop. Nothing fancy, nothing exotic. Just shelf-stable staples that do the job. Rice sits at the top of that list for a reason. A 20-pound bag costs practically nothing relative to the number of meals it provides. It fills your stomach, delivers steady energy, stores for an absurdly long time, and virtually everyone will eat it. White rice specifically is the champion of emergency storage because it can last 25 to 30 years if you keep it sealed in an airtight container away from moisture and pests. Brown rice has a better nutritional profile for everyday eating, but the natural oils in it cause it to go rancid within 6 months to a year. For your emergency stash, white rice wins every time. Dried beans are the ideal companion to rice, and there's actual nutritional science behind that pairing. Rice and beans together form a complete protein, meaning they provide every essential amino acid your body requires. Individually, each is missing some amino acids the other provides. Together, they're nutritionally comparable to eating meat. In terms of protein quality, that matters a lot when you might not have access to fresh protein sources. Beans store beautifully in dry form. Sealed in airtight containers, they'll last years and years. A 5-pound bag costs a couple of dollars and represents dozens of meals. Black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, navy beans, lentils, split peas, they're all solid options, and having variety prevents the monotony that wears people down during extended emergencies. Canned goods are your third pillar. Vegetables, fruits, soups, stews, chili, tuna, chicken, salmon, corned beef, Spam, whatever your household actually eats. The beauty of canned food is that it's already fully cooked. You can eat it cold, straight from the can, if you have zero ability to heat anything. That flexibility is enormous when you're dealing with no power and no fuel. Stock what your family will actually consume. 50 cans of lima beans are worthless if nobody in your house touches lima beans on a normal day. When people are stressed, tired, scared, and uncomfortable, they want familiar food that brings some comfort. Buy canned versions of meals your family already enjoys. The expiration dates on canned goods are conservative. Most cans remain perfectly safe well past those printed dates, assuming the can isn't dented, bulging, or rusted. The food might lose some texture or flavor over the years, but it won't hurt you. That said, smart practice is to rotate your stock. Use the older cans in regular cooking and replace them with fresh purchases. This way nothing sits for a decade, and your emergency supply stays current without wasting money. Pasta is another powerhouse staple. It's cheap, it stores well, it's calorie-dense, and it cooks with nothing but water and heat. Pair it with canned sauce or canned meat, and you've got a legitimate hot meal during a crisis. Different shapes and types add variety too. Oatmeal is outstanding. It's filling, nutritious, stores for years in sealed containers, and you can prepare it with just hot water. Instant oatmeal packets work, but large containers of rolled oats are far more economical and equally useful. And now for the item that deserves a standing ovation in the emergency food world: peanut butter. This stuff is practically engineered for crisis situations. Dense with calories, loaded with protein and healthy fats, requires zero cooking, doesn't need refrigeration even after opening, lasts well beyond whatever date the jar says, and here's the clincher: it actually tastes good. That last part matters more than you'd think. When everything around you feels chaotic and wrong, eating something familiar and satisfying provides genuine psychological comfort. Kids in particular will reliably eat peanut butter when they refuse everything else you put in front of them. Straight from the jar, on crackers, mixed into oatmeal, paired with dried fruit, it works in every scenario. If peanut allergies are a factor in your home, almond butter, cashew butter, and sunflower seed butter serve the same functional role. Stock whichever version your family can safely consume. Canned meats deserve their own mention. Tuna, chicken, salmon, and Vienna sausages give you quick protein without any preparation required. Protein is what keeps your muscles functioning and your brain sharp, and during a physically and mentally demanding emergency, you need it badly. Protein powder is a sleeper pick that more people should consider. A single container packs an incredible amount of nutrition into a small footprint. Mix it with water, and you've got a meal replacement that delivers exactly what your body needs. It stores well and takes up minimal space. Dried fruits and nuts are calorie-dense, nutritious, and portable. Trail mix is essentially emergency food that someone already assembled for you. Raisins, dried cranberries, dried apricots, almonds, cashews, walnuts, all of these store well and provide quick energy. Honey is worth adding to your supplies. It literally never spoils. Archaeologists have found edible honey in ancient Egyptian tombs. It provides quick energy from natural sugars. It tastes good, it can soothe sore throats, and it has natural antibacterial properties. A jar of honey is one of the most shelf-stable foods on the planet. Powdered milk is another smart addition. Fresh milk spoils fast without refrigeration, but powdered milk lasts for years and gives you calcium, protein, and vitamins. It works for drinking, cooking, and adding to coffee or oatmeal. Cooking oils, salt, sugar, and basic spices make everything else taste significantly better. A small collection of seasonings takes up almost no space, but dramatically improves the morale value of your emergency meals. Bland food wears people down surprisingly fast. Crackers, granola bars, and similar snack foods are good short-term options, though they don't have the same shelf life as rice and beans. Rotate them regularly and keep fresh stock on hand. Instant coffee and tea bags deserve a mention, because caffeine withdrawal during a stressful emergency is a miserable experience, on top of an already miserable situation. If you or your family members are regular coffee or tea drinkers, having a stash of instant coffee or tea bags means you can maintain that one small routine that helps people feel human in the morning. It sounds trivial, but anyone who's experienced caffeine withdrawal headaches while simultaneously dealing with a power outage and worried kids will tell you it's not trivial at all. Bouillon cubes and powdered soup mixes weigh almost nothing, take up almost no space, and transform plain rice or pasta into something that actually tastes like a meal. A cup of hot broth on a cold day when the power's been out for 3 days is a morale booster that punches way above its weight. Stock a variety of flavors. Vinegar, both white and apple cider, serves multiple emergency purposes beyond cooking. It's a cleaning agent, a mild disinfectant. It can treat minor skin irritations. It helps preserve food, and it adds flavor to otherwise bland emergency meals. A couple of bottles stored with your supplies give you remarkable versatility. Baking soda is another multi-purpose item that earns its place in your emergency supplies. It's useful in cooking, it works as a cleaning agent, it can be used as a mild antacid for stomach discomfort, it helps deodorize, and it can even be used as a rudimentary toothpaste in a pinch. A box costs almost nothing and lasts indefinitely. Here's something people almost universally forget until they're stuck at home with no power and hungry kids. Comfort snacks and treats for children. Having a stash of their favorite shelf-stable snacks. Fruit snacks, animal crackers, graham crackers, individually wrapped candies, whatever your kids love, can turn a scary, confusing situation into something more manageable for them. When a 5-year-old is asking why the lights won't turn on and why they can't watch their show, handing them their favorite snack while you explain what's going on buys you time, cooperation, and a calmer household. Vitamins and nutritional supplements are worth storing because an emergency diet of rice, beans, and canned goods, while adequate for survival, may lack certain micronutrients over extended periods. A bottle of multivitamins helps fill nutritional gaps. Vitamin C in particular supports immune function, which matters more when you're under physical and mental stress. Food storage organization matters more than people realize. Label everything with the date you purchased or stored it. Keep older items in front and newer items in back, so you naturally use the oldest first. Store food in a cool, dry, dark location because heat, moisture, and light all accelerate spoilage. If you're storing dry goods like rice, beans, pasta, or oats in bulk, transfer them from their original bags into airtight containers. Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers inside 5-gallon food-grade buckets are the gold standard for long-term dry food storage. They block light, moisture, and air, and they prevent insect infestation. A 20-pound bag of rice stored this way can genuinely last decades. Quick reminder, if you're getting value from this, smash that like button, leave a comment with your own tips, and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Now back to it. The manual can opener, a tiny item that could save your entire plan. This gets its own section because it's that important and that commonly forgotten. You can have an entire pantry stacked with canned goods, a beautiful emergency food supply that would make any prepper jealous, and it's all completely useless if you can't open the cans. When the power goes out, your electric can opener becomes a paperweight. A fancy one maybe, but a paperweight nonetheless. You need manual can openers, plural, because one might break, one might get lost, and one might be in the wrong location when you need it. Buy 2 or 3 decent quality manual can openers. Not the cheapest dollar store version that bends after opening 2 cans, but a solid, functional tool that actually grips and turns properly. Put one in your kitchen drawer, one with your emergency supplies, and maybe one in your car or go bag. They cost almost nothing, they weigh almost nothing, and forgetting this single small item could leave you sitting in front of 100 cans of food you can't access. A P38 or P51 military can opener is also worth tossing into your supplies. These are the tiny folding openers the military has used for decades. They're smaller than your thumb, virtually indestructible, and they work on any standard can. Keep one on your keychain or in your wallet as an absolute last resort backup. Light and power. When darkness makes everything harder. The moment electricity disappears, every single task in your daily routine becomes dramatically more difficult. Finding things in your house, preparing food, checking on kids, navigating stairs, reading medicine labels, all of it requires light. And sitting in total darkness for hours, let alone days, does psychological damage that people underestimate until they experience it. It amplifies fear, anxiety, and that helpless feeling that makes emergencies so draining. You need multiple independent light sources, because relying on a single device is setting yourself up for failure. Batteries die, bulbs fail, things get dropped and break. Murphy's Law operates at peak efficiency during emergencies. LED flashlights are your primary tool here. Modern LEDs are vastly superior to the old incandescent flashlights your parents had. They're brighter, they're more energy efficient, and their batteries last dramatically longer. A set of good LED flashlights will provide reliable light for days on a single set of batteries. Get a range of sizes. A large, powerful flashlight for general illumination when you need to light up a room or a yard. Smaller handheld lights for carrying around the house. And at least one headlamp, because having both hands free while still being able to see what you're doing is incredibly useful. Whether you're cooking, making repairs, changing a diaper, or treating an injury, a headlamp is invaluable. Stock extra batteries in every size your devices require. Check those batteries annually to make sure they haven't corroded or leaked, because corroded batteries will destroy your flashlight from the inside. Store batteries in their original packaging in a cool, dry location. They last for years under proper storage conditions, so there's zero excuse not to have plenty on hand. Candles provide backup illumination that requires no batteries, no technology, nothing but a flame. Emergency candles that burn for 8 to 12 hours are far more practical than decorative candles that look pretty but burn down in an hour. Stick candles in stable holders on flat surfaces, far from curtains or anything flammable. Never walk away from a burning candle. Never let kids or pets near them unsupervised. Candle fires during power outages are common and completely preventable with basic caution. Waterproof matches and reliable lighters are necessary companions to your candles and cooking setup. Standard matches become useless the instant they get damp. Waterproof Strike Anywhere matches eliminate that vulnerability. 2 or 3 quality butane lighters provide years of reliable flame for lighting candles, stoves, and grills. Keep them in sealed bags to protect them from moisture. Lanterns, both battery-powered and fuel-powered, are excellent for area lighting. A single lantern can illuminate an entire room well enough to eat, play cards, read, or do basic tasks. Battery-powered LED lanterns are safer indoors since they produce no flame, no heat, and no fumes. Fuel lanterns are brighter but require ventilation and careful handling. Solar-powered pathway lights that you might already have in your yard can be brought indoors during an outage. They charge during the day from sunlight and provide gentle illumination at night. They won't replace a flashlight, but scattered around the house, they prevent total darkness and help you navigate without tripping over furniture. Glow sticks are an underrated addition. They're cheap, they last for hours, they produce no heat or flame, and they're completely safe for kids to handle. Crack a few and place them in hallways, bathrooms, and near stairs to create a path of gentle light throughout your home. Kids can even hold them or wear them as necklaces, which doubles as both a light source and a way to keep track of where your children are in a dark house. Stock a variety pack because they're so inexpensive that having 50 of them costs less than a single decent flashlight. Motion-activated battery-powered lights are another smart investment that serves you during normal life and during emergencies. Mount them in hallways, stairwells, and bathrooms. During everyday use, they provide convenient nighttime lighting. During a power outage, they continue working exactly as they always do, providing automatic illumination when someone walks past. You don't have to fumble for a flashlight just to use the bathroom at 3 in the morning during an outage. These run on standard batteries and last months between changes. A note on generator usage, since some people consider them part of their power strategy. Portable generators are useful, but come with serious safety requirements. They must be operated outdoors, at least 20 feet from any window, door, or vent, and never in a garage even with the door open. Carbon monoxide from generators is odorless and lethal. If you run a generator, install battery-powered carbon monoxide detectors inside your home as an additional safety layer. Also remember that generators require fuel, and that fuel needs to be stored safely in approved containers away from your living space and any ignition sources. Real quick, if you haven't already, like this, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more practical content. Takes a second. Now let's talk about staying informed when everything goes dark. Communication. Staying informed. When screens go black, your smartphone is the most powerful communication tool ever invented, right up until its battery dies, and there's no way to charge it. In a prolonged outage, that could happen within hours, especially if you're frantically checking news and social media, which drains battery fast. A battery-powered radio sounds ancient. It feels like something your grandparents would own, and it might be one of the most important items in your entire emergency kit. When your phone is dead, the internet is unreachable, and you have absolutely no idea what's happening outside your front door. A radio connects you to emergency broadcasts, weather updates, official instructions, and a sense that you're not completely isolated. Get a radio that receives NOAA weather radio frequencies. These are dedicated government channels that broadcast continuous weather and emergency information 24 hours a day. They'll tell you if evacuation orders have been issued, where shelters are open, what areas are affected, when power restoration is expected, and other critical information you need to make decisions. Even better, invest in a combination emergency radio that includes a hand crank, a small solar panel, and a USB charging port. The hand crank means you can generate power manually when batteries are dead and the sun isn't cooperating. The solar panel charges the internal battery during daylight hours. And the USB port lets you push a small amount of charge into your cell phone, potentially enough to send a text, make a call, or check a message. It takes significant cranking to produce meaningful phone charge, but in a genuine emergency, that capability could be the difference between reaching someone and not. Power banks are essential modern emergency equipment. Keep 1 or 2 fully charged portable battery packs in your emergency supplies. A good power bank can fully charge a smartphone 2 to 4 times, extending your communication capability by days. Charge them every few months to keep them topped off, since lithium batteries slowly discharge over time even when not in use. If you have a car, and it's accessible, your vehicle is a giant battery with USB ports. You can charge devices from your car's cigarette lighter or USB outlets. Just be smart about it. Don't run the car in a closed garage because carbon monoxide will kill you. Pull outside or open the garage door fully before running the engine. A hand crank or battery-powered phone charger is another layer of backup. Some are designed specifically for emergency use and can provide enough juice for a critical call or text message with a few minutes of cranking. Two-way radios, the kind hikers and hunters use, give you local communication with family members or neighbors without relying on cell towers at all. If family members are separated within a few miles of each other, these can maintain contact when phone networks are jammed or down. They're inexpensive, batteries last a long time, and they work independently of any infrastructure. Make sure everyone in your household knows the plan. Where to meet if you get separated. Who to call first. What local radio station to tune to. Having a communication plan is just as important as having the devices themselves. Write your communication plan down on paper and make sure every family member has a copy. During an emergency, stress impairs memory and decision-making. Having the plan written out eliminates the need to remember details when your brain is running on adrenaline and sleep deprivation. Designate an out-of-area contact person, someone who lives far enough away that they're unlikely to be affected by the same event. During a localized emergency, local phone networks often get jammed because everyone is trying to call at once. But long-distance calls or texts to someone outside the affected area often get through more easily. That out-of-area contact becomes a relay point. Each family member checks in with them, and that person can relay information between family members who can't reach each other directly. Text messages are more likely to go through than voice calls during network congestion. Texts require far less bandwidth and can queue up and deliver when a sliver of capacity opens up. Make sure everyone in your household, including older kids, knows to try texting first when calls aren't connecting. If your area has a community notification system, sign up for it now, before you need it. Many counties and municipalities offer text or email alerts for weather emergencies, evacuation orders, boiled as water advisories, and other local crises. These systems push information directly to your phone without requiring you to search for it. Sign up through your local emergency management office or county government website. Consider a weather alert radio that automatically activates when NOAA issues a warning for your specific area. These sit quietly on your shelf until a warning is broadcast. Then they sound an alarm to wake you up or get your attention. During tornado season, severe thunderstorm season, or hurricane season, these provide an early warning layer that could give you critical minutes to take shelter. Like, comment, subscribe. Seriously, it takes 1 second and keeps this content coming. Let's keep rolling. First aid. Because help might not be coming quickly during normal life, if someone gets hurt, you drive to an urgent care or call an ambulance, and professionals show up within minutes. During an emergency, those systems might be overwhelmed, roads might be blocked, hospitals might be at capacity, and the wait for professional medical help could be hours or even days. You need to be capable of handling common medical situations yourself, at least temporarily. A basic first aid kit from any drugstore gives you a starting point, but those prepackaged kits are almost always insufficient for real scenarios. Think of them as a foundation you need to build on. You need adhesive bandages in multiple sizes for cuts and blisters, sterile gauze pads and rolls for larger wounds, medical tape to secure dressings, butterfly closures or wound closure strips for cuts that might otherwise need stitches, elastic bandages for sprains and strains, disposable nitrile gloves so you're not introducing bacteria into wounds, scissors for cutting tape, gauze, and clothing away from injuries, tweezers for splinter and debris removal, a digital thermometer for monitoring fevers, but supplies for wounds are only half the picture. You need medications that address the common health problems that emerge during emergencies. Pain relievers and fever reducers like ibuprofen and acetaminophen handle headaches, muscle pain, dental pain, and fevers. Stock both because some people can't take one or the other, and they can be alternated for more effective pain management. Antihistamines like diphenhydramine handle allergic reactions, which can flare up when people are eating unfamiliar foods, exposed to different environments, or stressed. A severe allergic reaction without treatment available is a life-threatening situation. Antidiarrheal medication is more critical than it sounds. Digestive problems during an emergency, when clean water is limited, can lead to dangerous dehydration incredibly fast. Having medication to manage that is genuinely important. Electrolyte replacement packets or tablets address dehydration from illness, heat, or exertion. Your body doesn't just need water, it needs the minerals that water carries. Wadialite packets, sports drink powder, or dedicated electrolyte tabs are all good options. Antibiotic ointment applied to any break in the skin prevents infection. Infections that would be trivial with access to a doctor and antibiotics become serious problems when medical care isn't available. Keeping wounds clean and treated is fundamental. Antacids for stomach distress, cough medicine, throat lozenges, and eye drops round out a solid over-the-counter medicine cabinet. If anyone in your household depends on prescription medication, this is absolutely critical territory. Heart medication, blood pressure drugs, insulin, thyroid medication, asthma inhalers, seizure medication, psychiatric medications, any drug that cannot be missed without serious consequences needs an emergency backup supply. Talk to your prescribing doctor. Explain that you're building an emergency preparedness kit and ask about getting an extra 30-day supply. Some doctors will accommodate this, others can't, due to insurance or regulatory restrictions. At the very least, never let your regular prescriptions run down to the last pill. Refill early enough that you always have a buffer of several days' supply in case disruptions prevent you from accessing a pharmacy. A printed first aid reference guide, waterproof or stored in a Ziploc bag, gives you step-by-step instructions for treating injuries and medical situations when you can't search the internet. How to treat burns of different severities. How to apply pressure to stop serious bleeding. How to splint a possible fracture. How to recognize signs of shock, heat stroke, hypothermia, or dehydration. Written instructions you can follow under stress are invaluable, and genuinely consider taking a basic first aid and CPR course. The Red Cross offers them. Community centers run them. Many employers will pay for them. The knowledge in your head is the one emergency supply that can never be lost, stolen, or broken. Knowing how to perform CPR, clear an airway, control bleeding, and stabilize an injured person is worth more than $1,000 in gear. Quick break. Like, comment, subscribe if you're still with me. Your support keeps this going. All right, moving on to a topic people tend to ignore. Hygiene and sanitation. Not optional, not a luxury. Some people treat personal hygiene supplies as a comfort item, something nice to have but not essential. Those people have never lived through a multi-day emergency without toilet paper. Hygiene isn't about comfort, it's about preventing disease. When sanitation breaks down, illness follows fast. And illness during an emergency when medical help is scarce can become genuinely dangerous. Soap is arguably the single most important hygiene item you can store. Proper hand washing with soap prevents the transmission of the majority of infectious diseases. Gastrointestinal illness, respiratory infections, skin infections. The simple act of scrubbing your hands with soap and water stops most of them. Bar soap stores better than liquid soap, takes up less space per use, and doesn't leak. Stock plenty because you'll use far more than you expect when that's your primary defense against getting sick. Hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol content is a useful supplement when water for hand washing isn't available. It doesn't replace soap and water, but it's dramatically better than nothing. Keep several bottles in different locations. Toilet paper. Everyone made jokes about hoarding during the pandemic, but the underlying reality is that running out of toilet paper is a genuine sanitation problem, not just an inconvenience. Store more than you think you'll need. It's lightweight, it's cheap, and it keeps indefinitely. If storage space is tight, remove the cardboard tubes and flatten the rolls. They compress down significantly. If plumbing stops working during an emergency, you need a sanitation plan for human waste. 5-gallon buckets lined with heavy-duty garbage bags and treated with either kitty litter, sawdust, or commercially available waste treatment powder create a functional emergency toilet. This isn't glamorous, but it prevents the disease transmission that occurs when human waste isn't properly managed. Store extra garbage bags, heavy-duty ones, because they serve this critical function along with 100 other uses. Feminine hygiene products are essential for households with women and girls. These aren't improvised easily, and going without creates health risks. Stock the products your household normally uses. Menstrual cups are worth considering as a reusable long-term option that takes up almost no storage space and lasts for years. Baby supplies for households with infants are absolutely non-negotiable. Diapers, wipes, formula, baby food, diaper cream, and any specialized items your baby needs. Babies cannot wait, cannot ration, and cannot use alternatives. Their needs are immediate and constant. Stock a minimum 2-week supply and rotate it as the baby grows into different sizes. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, and dental floss maintain oral health during extended emergencies. A dental infection without access to a dentist is painful and potentially serious. Basic oral hygiene prevents that scenario. Wet wipes are incredibly versatile. When showers aren't possible, they provide body cleaning. They clean hands when water is scarce. They wipe down surfaces. They handle diaper changes. Stock unscented varieties in large quantities. Garbage bags in multiple sizes handle waste disposal, emergency rain protection, ground cover, window covering, and dozens of other improvised uses. Buy the heavy-duty contractor bags, as well as regular kitchen size. They're one of the most versatile supplies you can have. Disinfectant wipes or spray for cleaning surfaces, especially food preparation areas and bathroom areas, prevent the spread of illness when normal cleaning routines are disrupted. Like and subscribe if you're finding this useful. Drop a comment telling me what item you're adding to your kit first. Let's get into tools and repairs. Tools, repairs, and practical supplies. When things break during an emergency, and things will break, you can't call a repair service and wait for someone to show up Tuesday between noon and 4. You handle it yourself, or it doesn't get handled. Having basic tools and repair supplies means you can address problems instead of watching them get worse. A quality multi-tool gives you pliers, a knife blade, screwdrivers, a file, a saw, a can opener, and other functions in one pocket-sized package. Good multi-tools from reputable brands last decades and handle an enormous range of tasks. Keep one in your emergency supplies and one in your car. Duct tape is legendary for a reason. It holds things together that have no business staying together. Broken window that needs covering? Duct tape and plastic sheeting. Leaking pipe that needs a temporary seal? Duct tape. Torn clothing or gear? Duct tape. Makeshift bandage in a pinch? Duct tape. And gauze. The applications are essentially unlimited. Buy the good stuff from a reputable brand because cheap duct tape has weak adhesive and falls apart. 2 or 3 rolls stored in your supplies give you an incredible repair capability. Plastic sheeting and tarps serve purposes you won't anticipate until you need them. Covering a broken window to keep wind and rain out. Creating a makeshift shelter. Collecting rainwater. Protecting belongings from water damage. Laying down a clean surface for first aid. Wrapping items that need to stay dry. Get a few in different sizes and weights. A basic toolkit doesn't need to be professional grade. A hammer, a set of screwdrivers in both flathead and Phillips, an adjustable wrench, pliers, a utility knife with spare blades, and a tape measure handle the vast majority of household repair needs. You should also have a wrench or tool that can shut off your gas line and water main in case of leaks after an earthquake or severe event. Know where your shutoffs are before an emergency occurs. Rope and paracord are useful for more applications than you can list. Securing tarps, hanging wet clothing to dry, creating clotheslines, tying down loose items during storms, building makeshift shelters, bundling supplies for transport. Good quality paracord can hold significant weight, and the inner strands can be removed and used individually for finer tasks like fishing line or gear repair. Work gloves protect your hands when you're clearing debris, handling broken materials, or doing rough manual work. A pair of heavy-duty leather or synthetic work gloves prevents cuts, blisters, and puncture wounds that would otherwise make every subsequent task harder and riskier. A pry bar or small crowbar helps with heavier tasks like removing damaged boards, opening stuck doors or windows, and clearing debris. It doesn't need to be huge. A 12-inch pry bar is portable and effective. Zip ties in various sizes are the modern equivalent of baling wire. They secure things quickly and firmly. Cable management, temporary repairs, bundling items together, attaching tarps to structures, improvised gear repairs. Throw a big bag of assorted sizes into your supplies. Bleach, as mentioned earlier, pulls double duty as both a water purification agent and a powerful disinfectant. Use it to sanitize surfaces, clean food preparation areas, and sterilize items that need to be germ-free. Unscented, no additive bleach only. Store it safely, away from children and pets, in an upright, sealed container. Bleach does lose potency over time, so replace your supply annually. A fire extinguisher belongs in every home regardless of emergency preparedness, but it becomes even more critical during situations where candles, camping stoves, grills, and improvised heating methods increase fire risk. A standard ABC-rated extinguisher handles the most common household fire types. Keep one in the kitchen, ideally near an exit so you're not reaching past the fire to grab it. Know how to use it before you need it. The pass method. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, sweep side to side. Inspect your extinguisher annually to make sure it's charged and the pressure gauge reads in the green zone. A sturdy pair of bolt cutters might seem excessive, but during emergencies involving structural damage, they can cut through chain, padlocks, wire fencing, and other metal obstacles. They're not something you'll use often, but when you need them, nothing else will do the job. Sewing supplies, a basic needle and thread kit, allow you to repair torn clothing, gear, tarps, and bags. During extended emergencies where replacement items aren't available, the ability to mend what you have extends the useful life of your existing supplies significantly. Extra garbage bags in both kitchen size and heavy-duty contractor size serve more purposes during an emergency than almost any other single item. Waste containment, rain protection, ground cover, emergency poncho, window covering, supply organization, protecting items from water damage, creating makeshift shelter, lining emergency toilets. Buy a box of heavy-duty contractor bags and a box of standard kitchen bags and store them with your supplies. Their versatility relative to their cost and storage footprint is unmatched. Like, comment, subscribe. We're getting into the stuff that most people completely forget about. Stay with me. Cash and financial preparedness. This is the section that catches the most people off guard, because we've all become so dependent on digital payments that we forget physical money still matters. When the power goes out regionally, credit card terminals stop working. Debit card machines go dark, ATMs shut down, mobile payment apps are useless without internet connectivity, online banking is inaccessible. In that moment, the only form of payment that works is physical cash, and not just any denomination. If you walk into a store during a crisis holding a $100 bill, the odds of getting change back are essentially zero. Cash registers aren't functioning. The cashier might be doing math on paper. They probably don't have a float of change available. You need small bills. Ones, fives, tens, and 20s. The ability to pay exact amounts or close to it without requiring change makes transactions possible when nothing electronic works. Keep a stash of coins too. Quarters specifically remain useful for vending machines, laundromat machines, and other coin-operated equipment that might still function during an outage. How much cash should you keep at home? That's a personal decision based on your financial situation and risk tolerance. At minimum, a few $100s in small bills gives you the ability to buy fuel, food, water, medicine, or other necessities during a short-term disruption. Some families keep 1,000 or more. There's no single correct number. Whatever amount you choose, hide it well in your home. Don't mention it to anyone outside your immediate household. Make sure your spouse or partner knows where it is, in case you're not home during an emergency. Telling friends, neighbors, or extended family that you keep cash at home creates a security risk you don't need. Having a small amount of cash in your vehicle's emergency kit is also smart, enough to buy a tank of gas and a meal if you're stuck somewhere and electronic payments aren't working. Important documents, the paperwork that matters. When you're forced to evacuate, when your home sustains damage, or when normal systems are disrupted, having access to your critical documents makes recovery dramatically easier and faster. Without them, you're fighting bureaucracy on top of dealing with the actual emergency. Gather copies, not originals, of driver's licenses, passports, birth certificates, social security cards, marriage certificates, insurance policies for home, auto, health, and life, mortgage documents, vehicle titles, medical records, prescription lists, bank and investment account information, and a contact list of family members, doctors, insurance agents, and attorneys. Store the copies in a waterproof container or bag that you can grab quickly if you need to leave. Create digital backups of everything on a USB drive. Store that USB drive in a separate location from the physical copies, perhaps at a trusted family member's home, in a safe deposit box, or in a fireproof safe. Cloud storage is another option, but remember that internet access isn't guaranteed during an emergency, so physical and digital backups in accessible locations are best. Keep a handwritten list of emergency contacts, not just stored in your phone. Phone numbers for family, your doctor, your insurance company, local emergency management, your employer, and anyone else you'd need to reach. If your phone dies or gets damaged, you need those numbers accessible on paper. A password list or reference stored securely, for your critical online accounts can also be valuable. If you're displaced and using a borrowed device, you may need to log into banking, insurance, email, or medical portals. Remembering complex passwords under stress isn't realistic for most people. Photographs of every room in your home, taken in good lighting with clear views of your belongings, are incredibly valuable for insurance claims after a disaster. Walk through your house and photograph or video every room, including closets, the garage, and storage areas. Capture serial numbers on expensive electronics and appliances. Store these images on your USB backup and in cloud storage. If you ever need to file a claim, having photographic evidence of what you owned makes the process exponentially faster and more likely to result in fair compensation. Update these photos annually or whenever you make significant purchases. Keep a written inventory of high-value items with approximate purchase dates and values. This supports insurance claims and helps you remember what you own when stress makes it hard to think clearly. Include things like electronics, jewelry, musical instruments, tools, sporting equipment, and furniture. Copies of pet records, including vaccination certificates and registration information, belong in your document kit if you have animals. Many emergency shelters that accept pets require proof of vaccination. Having these records accessible prevents your pet from being denied entry to a shelter that could keep them safe. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is the kind of stuff nobody talks about until it's too late. Let's keep going with cooking and warmth. Cooking without power. Having emergency food is only half the equation. You also need the ability to prepare it, particularly items like rice, pasta, and dried beans that require boiling water. Eating cold canned goods straight from the tin works in a pinch, but hot meals provide warmth, comfort, and normalcy that sustain morale during difficult days. A basic camping stove with extra fuel canisters is the most straightforward solution. They're compact, affordable, and they boil water quickly. Use them outdoors or in a space with full ventilation, never inside an enclosed room. Carbon monoxide from fuel-burning stoves and grills kills people during every major power outage because someone decided to cook or heat their home with a device that belongs outside. This is not a theoretical risk. It happens every single time. Use these devices outside with the door open, period. If you already own a propane or charcoal grill, that's a viable cooking platform. Stock extra fuel for it. Propane tanks for gas grills, charcoal and lighter fluid for charcoal grills. Again, outdoor use only. A fireplace that functions, not just decorative, can serve as both a heat source and a cooking platform with the right accessories. A cast iron Dutch oven or a grate placed over the fire lets you cook stews, boil water, and heat food. For a lower tech option, sterno cans, those small fuel canisters used for buffet warming, can heat food and boil small amounts of water. They're compact, inexpensive, and store safely for years. They won't cook a feast, but they can warm a can of soup or heat water for oatmeal. A Kelly kettle or similar volcano kettle uses small sticks, twigs, and natural debris as fuel to boil water extremely efficiently. If you have access to any kind of wood or combustible material, these devices can produce boiling water in minutes with just a handful of twigs. They're popular with hikers and increasingly with emergency preparedness communities. Cast iron cookware is worth mentioning because it works over open flame, on camping stoves, on grills, and in fireplaces. A cast iron skillet and a Dutch oven are essentially indestructible and infinitely versatile for emergency cooking. Don't forget waterproof or windproof matches and reliable ignition sources for all your cooking methods. A fire steel or ferro rod is a virtually indestructible fire-starting tool that works when wet and never runs out of fuel. Learning to use one takes practice, but the skill is valuable. Staying warm when the heat goes out. Cold weather emergencies without functioning heat are genuinely dangerous. Hypothermia can set in inside an unheated house faster than most people realize, particularly for elderly family members, young children, and anyone with certain medical conditions. Extra blankets and sleeping bags rated for cold temperatures are your first line of defense. Keep them accessible, not buried in a crawl space you can't easily reach. Wool blankets are particularly effective because wool retains warmth even when damp, unlike cotton, which loses all insulating ability when wet. Emergency Mylar thermal blankets, the thin silver sheets that look like aluminum foil, cost almost nothing. Fold down to the size of a deck of cards and reflect a surprising amount of body heat back toward you. Keep several in your supplies. They're not a replacement for a real blanket, but layered with other bedding, they make a noticeable difference. Layered clothing is more effective than a single heavy garment. Multiple thin layers trap air between them, and that trapped air acts as insulation. You can add or remove layers as your body temperature changes. Thermal underwear, fleece mid-layers, and a wind-blocking outer layer form an effective system. Hats, gloves, and warm socks matter more than most people appreciate. You lose significant body heat through your head and extremities. Keeping those covered is one of the simplest and most effective ways to stay warm. If the emergency is confined to your home and the structure is intact, choose one room for the family to occupy and close it off from the rest of the house. Hanging blankets over doorways and windows reduces the space you need to heat with body warmth alone. The smaller the space, the warmer it stays. Hand warmers and body warmers, the chemical heat packs that activate when you open the packaging, provide localized warmth for hours. They're inexpensive and store for years. Keep a box of them in your emergency supplies. Hot water bottles filled from your camping stove can be placed inside sleeping bags or under blankets to create a warm microenvironment for sleeping. A simple hot water bottle at your feet makes a remarkable difference in sleeping comfort during cold conditions. Like, comment, subscribe. We're in the home stretch now. A few more critical topics to cover. Transportation and evacuation readiness. Not every emergency lets you stay put. Wildfires, flooding, chemical spills, approaching hurricanes, and structural damage to your home can all require rapid evacuation. Having a plan and supplies for leaving is just as important as having supplies for staying. Keep your vehicle's gas tank at least half full at all times. This is a habit, not a one-time action. When evacuation orders hit, gas stations are immediately overwhelmed with lines that can stretch for blocks, and they often run out of fuel entirely within hours. Having half a tank already means you can get moving immediately instead of fighting for fuel with everyone else. A go bag or bug-out bag for each family member should be packed and stored where you can grab it in minutes. These don't need to be tactical military rucksacks. A basic backpack for each person containing a change of clothes, medications, a water bottle, snacks, copies of important documents, a small flashlight, a phone charger, cash, and personal hygiene basics covers the essentials. For kids, include a comfort item and a few small activities. For infants, include diapers, formula, and bottles. Know your evacuation routes. Most communities have designated routes, and your local emergency management agency publishes them. Know at least 2 different ways to leave your area in case one route is blocked. Drive them at least once so they're familiar. Program them into a GPS, but also print paper maps because electronic navigation requires cell service and satellites that may not be functioning. Know where you'd go. Identify at least 2 destinations outside your immediate area where you could shelter with family, friends, or at designated evacuation centers. Having a prearranged destination is far better than driving aimlessly away from danger with no plan. A car emergency kit separate from your home supplies should live in your vehicle permanently. Jumper cables or a portable jump starter, a basic toolkit, a flashlight, a first aid kit, a warm blanket, water, non-perishable snacks, a phone charger that works from the car, a tire pressure gauge, and road flares or reflective triangles cover the basics. If you live in a cold climate, add an ice scraper, a small shovel, sand or kitty litter for traction, and extra warm clothing. Quick one. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this with your neighbors too, because preparedness works better when communities are ready, not just individuals. Onward. Comfort, morale, and mental health emergency preparedness conversations almost always focus exclusively on physical survival. Water, food, shelter, medical supplies. Those are obviously critical. But ignoring the psychological and emotional dimension of emergencies is a serious mistake, especially for families with children. Fear, boredom, anxiety, uncertainty, and loss of routine can break people down faster than hunger or cold. Keeping some sense of normalcy and having ways to pass time isn't frivolous. It's a legitimate part of coping with a crisis. Books, board games, playing cards, puzzles, coloring books and crayons for kids, and similar non-electronic entertainment give people something to focus on other than the emergency itself. These items require no batteries, no screens, and no internet. They work perfectly by candlelight or flashlight. A deck of cards and a family who knows a few games can turn a dark, anxious evening into something almost bearable. Comfort foods provide psychological nourishment that goes beyond calories. Chocolate, cookies, hard candy, coffee, tea, hot cocoa mix, favorite snacks, whatever brings your family a sense of normalcy and pleasure. When everything feels wrong and uncertain, sitting down with a cup of hot cocoa and a cookie while playing cards with your family can do more for everyone's mental state than any amount of tactical preparedness gear. If you have children, consider their emotional needs specifically. Younger kids may be scared and confused. Having their favorite stuffed animal, a familiar blanket, books they love, or simple toys accessible provides enormous comfort. Explain what's happening in age-appropriate terms. Give them small tasks so they feel useful and less helpless. Maintain routines as much as possible. Bedtime rituals, meal times at regular intervals, reading time. For adults, stress management becomes its own challenge. Be honest with yourself about the emotional toll. Talk to your partner or other adults in the household about concerns. Take turns resting. Maintain physical activity even in confined spaces because movement helps manage anxiety. Breathing exercises and simple mindfulness techniques are free, require no supplies, and genuinely reduce acute stress. Journaling supplies, a notebook and pen, give people an outlet for processing difficult emotions during extended emergencies. Writing about what's happening provides a sense of control and emotional release. A musical instrument, even a simple harmonica or ukulele, can lift spirits and fill silence with something other than worry. If anyone in your family plays something portable, include it in your considerations. Pets, they count too. If you have animals, their needs exist alongside yours, and they can't provide for themselves. Dogs, cats, birds, reptiles, fish, whatever shares your home requires planning. Extra pet food stored and rotated regularly keeps your animal fed when you can't get to a store. Canned pet food is useful as backup since it's self-contained and lasts well. Store at least a 2-week supply and rotate it with your regular purchases. Fresh water for pets comes from the same supply you've stored for your family. Factor their needs into your water calculations. Dogs in particular drink significant amounts, especially larger breeds. Any medications your pet takes regularly need the same backup planning as human prescriptions. Heartworm preventatives, seizure medication, insulin for diabetic pets, whatever applies to your specific animal. Carriers and leashes are essential if evacuation becomes necessary. You cannot safely transport a panicking animal without proper containment. Have carriers sized for your pets and accessible quickly. Copies of vaccination records, your vet's contact information, photos of your pet for identification if separated, and any license or microchip information should be included with your document supplies. Comfort items for pets matter too. A familiar blanket, a favorite toy, and familiar food reduce stress for animals during chaotic situations. Stressed animals are harder to manage and more likely to bolt, bite, or injure themselves. Have a plan for where your pets will go if you evacuate. Not all emergency shelters accept animals. Know which ones in your area do, and have backup options like pet-friendly hotels, boarding facilities, or friends and family who could take your animals temporarily. The ASPCA and local animal rescue organizations often set up emergency pet shelters during major disasters, but you can't count on these being available or nearby. Make sure your pets have current identification. Microchipping is the most reliable form, because collars and tags can fall off. If your pet is already chipped, verify that your contact information is current in the microchip registry. A recent photo of each pet stored with your documents helps with identification if you get separated. For exotic pets, reptiles, birds, fish, or other animals with specialized needs, emergency planning is even more critical because their environmental requirements are less flexible. Reptiles need heat sources, fish need aerated water, birds need temperature stability. Research portable solutions for your specific animal's needs and have backup equipment ready. Getting started. No more excuses. Everything I've covered here is practical, affordable, and available at ordinary stores. None of it requires special knowledge, unusual skills, or a massive budget. Most of it can be accumulated gradually over several weeks of normal grocery shopping by simply adding a few extra items each trip. Start with water. Today. Right now if possible. Get a few gallons stored safely somewhere in your home. That single action puts you ahead of the majority of households. Next trip to the store. Grab extra canned goods, a bag of rice, a jar of peanut butter, and a manual can opener. The week after, pick up flashlights and batteries. Then first aid supplies. Then hygiene items. Then tools. Set aside a small amount of cash in small bills. Gather your important documents and make copies. Check your prescriptions and start building a buffer. Each individual step is small. None of them is expensive. None of them is complicated. But accumulated together, they transform you from someone who hopes nothing bad happens into someone who can handle it when it does. Stop telling yourself you'll do it later. Later is exactly when you'll wish you'd done it now. The time to prepare is when things are calm, stores are stocked, roads are clear, and nothing is pressing. That time is right now. Take one step today. then another one tomorrow. Keep going until you look at your supplies and feel confident that your family can handle whatever comes. Talk to your family about your plan. Make sure your spouse or partner knows where everything is stored. Teach older kids what's in the emergency kit and how to use basic items. Walk through scenarios so everyone understands what to do if an emergency hits while they're home alone, at school, or at work. Practice matters. A plan that exists only in one person's head isn't really a plan. Connect with your neighbors if you have decent relationships with them. During real emergencies, communities that communicate and cooperate fare dramatically better than collections of isolated households. You don't need to form a militia or organize weekly meetings. Just know who lives near you, exchange phone numbers, and have a general understanding that you'd help each other if something serious happened. The elderly neighbor who lives alone, the family with young children next door, the guy down the street with a generator, knowing these people and being known by them creates a safety net that no amount of individual supplies can replicate. Review and update your supplies every 6 months. Batteries expire, medications expire, canned goods slowly age, water should be rotated, kids outgrow clothing and diaper sizes, contact information changes. A supply kit that was perfect 2 years ago might have significant gaps today if nobody's checked on it. Set a calendar reminder for spring and fall to go through everything. Replace what needs replacing and fill any gaps. Don't try to do everything at once. That's how people get overwhelmed. Spend too much money in one shot and then never revisit it because it feels like it's done. Spread the cost and effort over several weeks or months. A $20 addition to each grocery trip for 2 months builds a remarkably comprehensive emergency supply without straining any single paycheck. You're capable of this. Everyone is. It just requires the decision to start and the discipline to follow through. One last time like this, drop a comment with what you're starting with first and subscribe so you're here for the next one. Share it with someone you care about because this information could make a real difference for their family too. Stay safe out there.